Periods have always been a part of us. Long before plastic wrappers and pharmacy shelves, women across the world found quiet, clever ways to care for themselves, often in secret, often with strength. Let's take it all the way back. In ancient Egypt, women used softened papyrus as an internal absorbent, essentially an early form of a tampon. In ancient Greece, Hippocrates mentioned women inserting lint-wrapped wood to absorb menstrual flow. It sounds rough by today's standards, but at the time, it was practical. In Rome, women reportedly used soft wool. Across ancient China and Japan, women crafted menstrual cloths and pads from materials like paper and silk. In many indigenous communities, women turned to the land, using moss, grasses, bark, sea sponges, and animal pelts, depending on what was available. These weren't disposable. They were part of the rhythm of life, washed, reused, and deeply tied to how each culture understood the body, nature, and the sacredness of cycles. But in medieval Europe, that reverence faded. Silence around the female body grew louder. Periods became entangled in religious taboo and superstition, viewed as impure or shameful. Most women used cloth rags, discreetly washed and reused. Some bled freely into layers of skirts or undergarments. Menstruation was not talked about. It was hidden, handled quietly, alone. Then came the 19th century, and with it, the Industrial Revolution. As textiles and hygiene products became mass-produced, cloth turned into commerce. In 1988, Johnson & Johnson launched the first commercial disposable pad called Lister's Towels. Big, bulky, and meant to be worn with a sanitary belt. Imagine that. They were sold in plain packaging with even plainer advertising. Period products weren't something you talked about. They were something you bought in whispers. Around this time, a few inventors began dreaming of a reusable internal device. Something different entirely. The idea of a menstrual cup was patented as early as the 1930s. One of the first workable designs was created by Leona Chalmers in 1937. But people weren't quite ready. Social norms and material technology just weren't quite there yet. Then, in the 1930s came a small invention with a big impact, the modern tampon. It was designed by Dr. Earl Haas, who imagined a safer, more hygienic alternative to bulky pads. He created a cotton tampon with a cardboard applicator and sold the patent to a woman named Gertrude Hendrick. In 1936, she launched Tampax. It was a revolution and also a scandal. People panicked about what tampons might mean. Some claimed they could take a girl's virginity. Others worried they'd encourage immorality or masturbation. But for working women, nurses, dancers, and athletes, tampons were freedom. Even still, the marketing was subtle. Euphemisms like freshness, discretion, and protection dominated for decades. Ads rarely showed the product, let alone the body. It wasn't until the women's liberation movement of the 1960s and 70s that menstruation started to be acknowledged openly. And even then, change came slowly. Then came a crisis. In the late 1970s, Procter & Gamble released a tampon called Rely. It used super absorbent synthetic materials that allowed those who used it to go longer without changing it. But this new technology had a dark side. It created the perfect environment for toxic shock syndrome, a rare but life-threatening bacterial infection. The product was pulled from the market in 1980 and tampon safety standards were changed worldwide. From there, innovation moved fast. In the 1980s and 90s, menstrual pads became thinner, more absorbent, and more comfortable. Adhesive strips replaced belts, wings were added, gel-based cores improved absorption. Period products were evolving, but the conversation still lagged behind. Meanwhile, menstrual cups were making a quiet comeback. Brands like the Keeper, launched in 1987, started gaining a small but loyal following. By the early 2000s, newer silicone options like Diva Cup and Moon Cup made cups more mainstream. They were sustainable, cost-effective, and body-friendly, and slowly people began paying attention. Then came the wave. In the 2000s and 2010s, conversations about menstruation broke wide open. People started asking harder questions. What's in these products? Why are tampons taxed as luxury items? Why is something this normal still treated like a secret? That's when the period revolution truly began. A new generation of brands like Thinx, Salt, Cora, Lola emerged with a fresh take. Transparency, sustainability, and products designed with real people in mind. Organic tampons, reusable cloth pads, menstrual underwear, plastic-free packaging, inclusive language, ethical supply chains, and more than that, they started telling the truth about periods, about shame, and about access. Period poverty became a global issue, highlighting how many people still lack basic access to menstrual products. Activists and policymakers responded. Some countries abolished the tampon tax, others passed laws requiring free products in schools, prisons, and public spaces. Today, we have choices our great-grandmothers never dreamed of. Pads, tampons, menstrual cups, discs, period underwear, organic, reusable, high-tech, low-waste. Period care has become more than a monthly routine. It's a way of reclaiming our bodies, our planet, and our dignity. We've come a long way, but we are not done yet. Because every time we speak honestly about our cycles, without shame, we open the door a little wider for comfort, for inclusion, for freedom. And that's a history worth celebrating.